week 4, designing for the web, and this is the best part of web design, is the programming side. Luckily, we don't need to do a lot of programming, but I do want to show you how to do this in Dreamweaver, because Dreamweaver is what you see is what you get, they call it, web editor. So let's have a look first at our file structure. So we've been designing mostly in Photoshop using 1920 by 1080 as our dimensions. And so when we go into making folders, this is going to be really, really important. So here we got a folder, and inside that folder is my graphics, which I've exported out my Photoshop files into JPEGs. And then I've also have the workable folder, and that's where all the Photoshop files have gone into. Don't worry about this notes document. So in graphics, I've got my background, I have my characters history, and my home page. I have a few more pages to still work on, but I just want to show you in terms of demonstrating it and linking this into Dreamweaver. So there it is. These are the graphics, and these will be linked into HTML documents. Those HTML documents will then trigger other HTML documents. And so when you click over things, then they just take you to those other HTML documents that have those other JPEGs. So just to show you what I've got here, this is depth to difference. So if you go to my Pixade website, it's all done this way. Here's the JPEG. And the way you know that, it says that here. So it's under graphics index.jpg. Index is always the name for the first page on any website. So in fact, when you, well, at least back in the day, when you were making websites, it's still kind of the same now I think about it. The main page is always going to go and refer to the HTML file that is called index, not the homepage.html. Anyways, here's the Dreamweaver interface. So this is what the browser sees right here, and you can see from design, split, and code. So if you just want to see how the code looks like for making this page, it's right there. And then we're not going to be too concerned with that. We're just going to work on the design mode. And on the right hand side is some other stuff which is not so important. What's important also is though the properties at the bottom here. So we've got maps, we've got the source for this document, and some other things, the image size as well. All right. So I'm going to make a new, this is how you're going to start off. You're going to start with a new HTML document, HTML right here, document, and again, name of the website. So mine's called Transformers. All right, I'm going to hit create, and there's my blank HTML file. I'm just going to save this, and I'm going to save it into the same folder of that folder structure that I just showed you. So it's in my ZU courses, it's in web, I called it week 4, and I'm just going to save it right here. So the HTML documents will be saved in this folder, and then inside there's a graphics folder with all the graphics. So we'll call it index.html, and there you go. So as you can see here, the document title says Transformers because we put that in, and it's called HTML. Let's go ahead now and drag our image from graphics in there. So this is my home page. So there it is. All right, dragged it in, and it looks pretty good. The margins look fine, and you see the source coming from graphics/homepage.jpg. Now, if you don't create an HTML file first, it can get really messy here. And the last thing you want is you don't want it to say C:// all this other stuff, because then it's absolute linking, which means if you were to take this website, all these files, and upload it and send it to me, I won't be able to open them because it's trying to find this JPEG file that's in the C drive in some location, which I don't probably have. So this is relative linking, and it's just going to look for a graphics folder that is next to the HTML document, and then look for a JPEG. So as long as you follow this way that I just told you, creating an HTML document first in the root folder, then you'll be fine. So again, I'm going to save here, and there you have it. So if I go back to the graphics, you'll see that in that folder on the root is the index.html, right? So that's great. Even if I were to double click on this and try to open it in Google Chrome or any sort of browser, you'll see that there is the website that shows perfectly fine in the browser. You'll notice too now though, nothing links, nothing's clickable. And this is where the next step comes into play. So in the HTML document, you'll see that there's these little rectangles, teal rectangles, and you have to generate those. You create those, and you're making basically hotspots. by making these hotspots, you're telling the browser that when the mouse hovers over here, this is a hotspot, it can go somewhere else. So we're basically going to do that with our index page here. Okay, so I've clicked on the picture, the JPEG, and you'll see that there's maps here. And the one that's going to be important to us is this rectangle hotspot tool. Again, if you have different shapes and they're not rectangles, then you may want to use the polygon hotspot tool, or if it's a circle, there's a circle one. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw over history, draw over characters, click and drag, and then draw over where to buy. All right, so now I'm just going to go back to my arrow. I can then click between them. And now I don't have a history.html file yet, but I will. And that's basically where I will then type in history.html and hit enter. I'll do the same for characters, and I'll do the same for where to buy. On the right hand side, I have these fun extra links, so I'm going to go and draw those circles for that. And so then I'll try to find, so I have these fun links on the right, so I'll use the circle hotspot and draw circles over there on top of them and then link them. Okay, so just hit save there, and this is my index page. It's more or less ready to go. From here I can then save as and start saving this as the other files. So if you remember correctly, I had one called history.html. It's in that same folder, and I can just double click on this picture and just replace it with the history.jpg. Okay, now this tab says history.html. I'm just going to save it because now I have the history content, and then I'm going to have to move over these hotspots that I created and put them into the new location of my interface design. So it says where to buy. I can grab this corner, scale it down. Same thing with characters. I'm going to do it this way. It's not some crazy overlap. And then this for history. Hit save, and there's my history page. I can then hit file save as again, and then load up the next picture, and then now I've got a characters page. So test this out in a browser to make sure it works okay. Go to File, and then you can go to Real-Time Preview and hit F12. It'll go to Internet Explorer. If you wanted to go to Chrome and go that way as well. You may ask to save. You may save it. And so now it's loading up, and there it is. So since I created a history page, it loads up correctly, and so that's good. If I had a back button, that would be pretty useful to then be able to test it to make sure it goes back to the index.html file. So that's how to view it in a browser, preview it. One last thing I forgot to mention is that if you are linking to an external website, in this case Facebook or whatever, you'll need to type in http:// so it'll look like this, or whatever it is. Maybe it could be a YouTube link that you're referring to. You'd have to then just copy paste that URL and make sure it has http://. If you want to have it open in a new browser window, then you change the target over here to say blank. Oh wow, like this. That's the only other difference. For some reason, my map, if I try to do a circle hotspot, it's crashing. So I don't know what's happening with this. Dreamweaver is a little bit glitchy. Photoshop always works well in Adobe, but I don't know. Can't make excuses for them. Anyways, hopefully found that pretty interesting and informative. Make sure your HTML documents are created this way. You know, copy, paste, and reload, and then just make sure and test it out. Test it out once you move the folder with the graphics inside the graphics folder, and then the HTML. You know, try it on different machines to make sure it all works okay, and that'll be good. You know, that's what you'll submit and zip it up. So that's all I got. Hopefully that was pretty easy, straightforward, and keep working hard. See ya.